Give Stephen Henry a hand for hosting this. And his lovely family, we appreciate you, thank you. It's good to see all of us here. Okay, I know we're all tired, so to all the candidates, thank you for coming. I know it's been a long road and we're all ready for Election Day, which is so close. If you don't know me, I'm Ann Fidler. I'm on the ballot as Ann Willard Fidler. I'm in the family business, the family law business that is. My dad has been an attorney in Rossville for about 42, 43 years, and I joined him in our family business about 16 years ago. I'm licensed in Georgia and Tennessee. I've practiced in almost every area of law, from bankruptcy, criminal law, domestic law, boundary line disputes, state and federal court in both states. I'm very fortunate to be married to my husband, Scott. We have been married for almost 20 years, and we have 2 kids who attend Catoosa County schools. We've got one at Heritage High School, and we've got one at Battlefield Elementary. We are Battlefield. Gotta say that since we're in the Catoosa County crowd, and our superintendent is here. So, what I do for the community. Let's get into that. I am on the board of directors for Partnership for Families, Children, and Adults, which is located in Hamilton County, Tennessee, and serves over 10 counties in Tennessee and 4 counties in our northern Georgia region. I'm the president of our Lookout Mountain Bar Association, where I've been president since 2022. I'm a court-appointed guardian ad litem for our Catoosa County and Walker County probate courts. I'm on the local school governance team for Battlefield Elementary, as well as Heritage Middle School. Oh, that's a lot of things. What else do I do? I go to Brady Baptist Church. I've been a member there since 2008. I have taught Sunday school for about 11 years. I'm currently teaching 2nd grade Sunday school and have a group of 18 8-year-olds every weekend. So here's what our circuit needs. Our circuit has had weakness in that we have had 4 judges who haven't been able to get along. We have 4 judges in 4 counties and 4 courthouses that handle all of the cases, whether criminal cases, whether civil cases, jury trials, felony matters, domestic matters. And we need 4 judges that can work together to make our circuit transparent, efficient, and open. And if we don't have that, we are not going to succeed as the small circuit in Northwest Georgia. And if elected, my relationship with our judges is strong, and I'm ready to take the bench day 1 after I'm sworn in and serve our circuit along with the other 4 judges. We have a lot of ways to make our circuit more efficient, and that could be a variety of things, from having cases assigned to specific judges. That way people, when they come to court, they know who's going to be there, who's going to hear their case. We also have new technology coming in our courtrooms. We received a $1.5 million grant, and so all of our courtrooms will be streamlined hopefully by this summer. So with that, I'm tired. We're all tired. And if you want to read more about me, go to annfidlerforjudge.com, or you can find me on Facebook. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a microphone tonight, but my voice is much better than it has been earlier in the week, so I appreciate y'all bearing with me here. I am Melissa Heiss, and I have been practicing in this circuit for over 30 years. I have practiced in the Catoosa County specifically over 10 years. Let me just back up a little bit just so you know, I'm from Walker County, graduated from Chattanooga Valley in '86. So I know there's a lot of folks out there that we may have a rivalry with, but I was one of the last of the classes of Chattanooga Valley. Went to Mercer University, the Cumberland School of Law, and I came home and went to practice for Watson and Dena. So you may know Dennis and Joe. Then I clerked for our I was a law clerk for our judges, Judge Wood, Judge Hill, Judge Tucker was our chief judge at that time, and Judge Graham, who was Judge Colley at that time. I then went on to start a little nonprofit that many of you may have heard of, some of you may have not, which is great because you didn't need our service. But I saw a need after working with the shelter. I was on that initial board that got the shelter up and running, got our first brick and mortar shelter building and the Family Crisis Center. And during all that work, I discovered that we needed some help with some services within our judicial system for domestic violence victims. So I started 4 points to serve adult and family and child victims. that were involved in domestic violence by providing supervised visitation, guardian ad litem services. We were one of the first supervised visitation facilities in the state, as well as the first guardian ad litem program in the state to provide lay guardians, where we trained lay people to actually serve as guardians for kids in the divorce and Superior Court realm, much like CASA, which we also brought here under our umbrella at the request of Judge Henry, the juvenile court judge at the time. We brought CASA into the circuit until it was able to be out on its own. Was heavily involved in the domestic violence task force. Ms. Vita Hollander and I worked for a long time together in the task force, and we were one of the first in the state to bring in a domestic violence fatality review team as well as a safety audit team. And I was in charge of getting over 57 agency heads to sign off on the federal grant every year for us to get that money so that we could have a staff person to coordinate the domestic violence. Everybody that did domestic violence, from judges to law enforcement to DPACs to school systems to the Sexual Assault Center and the Children's Advocacy Center, we all worked together. So I collaborated for 15 years doing 4 points, working with people and working with my fellow colleagues to make things better for domestic violence victims here in our circuit. After 15 years, it was time for me to go. It was time for me to let somebody else take it over. It's going great now, still, and it's growing. And I'm very proud of my ability to be able to be a part of that. Went to the magistrate court in Walker County full time for about 9 months, and then wanted to get back to practicing law. Went in with Albert Palmer down in Catoosa County, and I had practiced in every kind of law that there could be, because Albert is an old school lawyer, and so if you come through the door and you've got a legal problem, we're going to take your case. So I didn't have a lot of experience in anything but family law at the time, a little bit of criminal, a little bit of tort, that kind of thing. Head first into closings, head first into real property, head first into estates, head first into products of liability in federal court, also wrongful death lawsuits. We've got a RICO action over in Alabama in federal court right now. So I've practiced a little bit of everything, whistleblower actions, employment cases, and I'm practicing over 17 counties in the state in the last 10 years, and I filed over 30 appeals in the last 10 years in both the Supreme Court as well as the Court of Appeals. Actually just filed a brief today in the 30-something, I can't remember what it is. But I've always wanted to be a lawyer. That's at my heart. I'm a judicial or legal nerd. I enjoy the practice of law. I enjoy the judicial part. I am a part-time magistrate judge again with the Walker County Magistrate Court, so I preside over cases 2 days every week, and every other week I'm on call. So I get a lot of criminal experience from that, because I'm issuing search warrants and arrest warrants on a regular basis, as well as handling dispossessory actions and civil actions. So I have judicial experience to be able to step on the bench and understand what it means to apply the law equally and fairly to everyone. So I pledge to you, if you vote for me as your next Superior Court judge, that I will follow the rule of law and I will uphold the Constitution of both the United States and the state of Georgia. So I thank you for your vote on May 21st. We're in early voting. Thank you.
Hey, so I am Angela Pence, and I'm running to be your next state senator. I am a Chickamauga native. I'm a military wife. I'm a business owner, and I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 9 kids. I always like to pause there so everybody can take that in. A lot of people asked why I decided to run for this race. And a few days ago, a reporter actually asked me, she said, gosh, with that many kids, how do you plan to legislate? What role do those kids, play in you, stepping into this? And I had to think about it, right? And I thought, it's representation and their future. For my kids and your grandkids to have a future, we have to have a legislator that can effectively legislate for us and on our behalf in Atlanta. And right now, that's not happening. So I'm running against Senator Colton Moore. And when I talk about representation and his inability to do that, what I mean is he has been kicked out of the Senate Republican caucus. Now that may sound like a bunch of word garble, and what does that mean? Well, it's actually pretty important, because the Senate Republican caucus is who moves legislation in
the Senate. They move our conservative Republican legislation, they influence it, they get it to the floor, and they get the votes behind it, they get it passed. His actions and his behavior, time and time again, is what got him removed from that caucus. They finally had to kick him out. So at this point, he can no longer effectively legislate in the Senate. Even if he was to bring something to the well, he does not have the influence behind him to be able to move it. Most of you probably in here know how our government works. You have your Senate and you have your House. And our House of Representatives and Senate have to work together, bills to move forward for the governor to sign. Well, recently, our current senator has been banned from the House property. He can no longer step foot on House property. How is he going to effectively legislate and work with the House if he can't even step on their property? So this becomes a question of, why are we paying him? Because our tax money goes to pay for our legislators. And if we have a legislator who can't effectively move legislation, he can't work with his Senate colleagues, and he can't work with the House, then how is he going to effectively represent us? Another issue that I found along the way is not only is he not representing us in Atlanta, but he's also not working with our current elected officials across the board to help them get what they need in their communities to be able to grow and thrive. Part of that is one thing that he mentioned in 2022 that wasn't a lie, was that he would never go after grant money. And he hasn't, I can assure you of that. But what that grant money does is it pours back into our community to help build our community that funnels in from the state. So if he's not going after our grant money, then everybody else in the state of Georgia is getting our grant money, because unfortunately, we continue to be taxed. And while I hate taxes, and I'm sure you do too, we are in a tax system. So I will fight every single day, if elected, to not only work with the elected officials and the people in my area to know what they need, but also with my colleagues in the Senate and the House to be able to move legislation and be able to represent us effectively. So I'm asking for your vote now to May 21st to send somebody to Atlanta and pay somebody in Atlanta that can truly represent you. Thank you so much.
Just a couple of quick things so I can go home and sleep in peace tonight. I want to thank my wife for tolerating everything we do, and my mother-in-law, my daughters, Tasha, one of our adopted daughters, and her children. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. They always support all these little events we do. Without them, we'd have an empty table with just my name wrote on it in Sharpie by Christmas. That's how we roll. But thank y'all for being here. And I know each candidate, I don't want to tell you, you look out, there's not a lot of people here, but it'll be streamed on social media, which evidently is where everybody gets their world news nowadays. So there'll be a lot of people watching what you do. So don't be discouraged that people don't come out, because they don't come out as much as they used to, because there's so many different avenues to watch things. So you can get with Brian, leave your email address, and he'll send you copies of it where you can stream it on your platforms, and then we'll be streaming it on ours as well. But when we decided to do this, we wanted to be an equal and fair opportunity for every candidate, because that's what our elections are supposed to be, for every candidate, for you, the voters, to decide. So we wanted to give you that opportunity. I'll be able to go home tonight while I plan, so that's a good thing. So that's the last time you're going to hear from me in anything other than a candidate. So I'm going to turn this over to Scott Miller. I appreciate him coming out. He's a retired DJ from 99.9 Country, I believe. He's been to the Grand Ole Opry. He has done a lot of things. I've got a list, but my memory is terrible. So, but Scott, come on up. He's going to take care of y'all. And thank you for being here.
All right. Well, everybody, I'd like to welcome you here to our, I guess we're best called Candidates Forum. I am Scott Miller. Some of you may know me from the radio station. Some of you may know me for the 13 years I spent with John Sturmer at Hamilton County 911. And now I guess I'm enjoying a little bit of retirement. And when people ask me to do something like this, it's always great, because I love getting in front of people, and I love being part of the community, and I love free cookies too, so I'm gonna take it up. So, First thing we'd like to get up on the stage right now would be the school board, District 3, Dena Reese. Are you here, Dena? Come on up. Unfortunately, Mrs. Schringer couldn't make it tonight. Her grandmother fell. But we're going to hear from Dena, and she's going to get some time to tell her story. So come on up, Dena.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I want to say a very special thank you to Stephen for putting this event together. Really appreciate it. It's wonderful to get together and talk about the issues and why we're running for elected office. I joked earlier this evening is I felt like, this is my first experience running for office, and I feel like I'm taking my life in my hands every time I go out to put out a sign, because people do not slow down for you just because you want to put a sign at a busy intersection. So I have a new appreciation for anyone running for office, and I do appreciate your conviction and commitment to serving our community. My name is Dena Reese. I have born and raised in Catoosa County. I attended Westside Elementary, Lakeview Junior High, and I graduated from Lakeview Fort Oglethorpe High School in 1980. Do not get out your calculators. I am 61 years old. I'll save you the trouble. I started my teaching career at Graysville Elementary in 1984. I was assistant principal there for 6 years, principal for 11, and most of you know that I served as superintendent of schools for 17 years. I've been retired for 2 years. My husband and I retired on the very same day 2 years ago, and we have been checking off his bucket list with a fever. We've been traveling and enjoying a little bit of freedom. And so I think people were a little surprised when I made my announcement that I was running for school board, because they said, well, wait a minute, don't you have more bucket lists? And I told a lot of people, this has been on my bucket list for a long time, serving this community as a school board member. I have to run for school board. And the reason is, I truly believe that the school system is the most critical part of the infrastructure in a community. Everything revolves around the school system in a community. It affects everything economically. It affects wages. It affects unemployment. It affects real estate values. The school system truly is the most critical part of a community. And most people don't know what a school board member does. I've worked with school boards for 17 years, and I know what their role is. When I sit down with people, when they're interested in running for school board, the first thing I tell them is you need to understand that you're responsible for the education of 10,000 students. You're also responsible for the safety and well-being of 10,000 students. And that's a little bit heavy, because you go to bed with that at night, and you wake up with it every morning. It's a huge responsibility. School board members also serve as hearing officers in student tribunals when parents appeal disposition. So they have to have a little bit of background in school law. School board members also serve as hearing officers when a tenured teacher is dismissed or disciplined. So you have to have a little bit of background in human resources. School board members are responsible for passing policies for the operation of the school system. And here's the biggie. School board members are responsible for setting the millage rate for the school portion of every citizen's tax bill. And that's usually when I lose them, is when we talk about that. Because that's a heavy responsibility also. But it's a responsibility that I embrace because I've been doing it for 17 years. School board members need to be proven leaders. And I am a proven leader in this community. There's a quote that I read several years ago that I cannot get out of my head. And it said, you don't want to stand at the gates of heaven with unopened gifts at the Lord's feet. He gave you gifts. And you are supposed to use those gifts at every stage of your life. You know, I've run the school system for 17 years, and that stage of my life is over. But in this time in my life, I'm ready for this role. And I'm hoping that the citizens of District 3 will agree with me. Thank you.
Question, yeah, it's all right, go ahead. And right there. The question is, Catoosa has grown too much. And example, the colonnade, would you put a moratorium on any new buildings? I don't know why that's a school board thing, but they said school board, so.
Okay.
All right, you got an answer for that?
Well, you know, the role of a school board member is we're not on the zoning board. So that's a definite question for a commissioner or someone who's on the zoning board. But I have worked closely with the zoning board for years, and I do agree that we are growing. You know, we used to be the best kept secret in North Georgia, but we're not anymore. People are moving here because they want their children in the school system. And so the housing market is now back with a vengeance. You know, there was a time there where it was sort of stagnant, but we're seeing subdivisions in every part of the community. It's not just one area. Now, if it's one area, I can surely focus on that area and know what we need to do to handle the capacity of the children in that area. But the subdivisions are popping up everywhere, so it's difficult to get a handle on that. So my goal as a school board member is to work closely with the commissioners and the zoning board to put together a plan. I'd like to see us have a Catoosa County growth plan where we all come together and agree that there may need to be a moratorium on apartment buildings. There needs to be planned growth. It needs to be either senior living in an area. And so we need to look at the density of the population that we're allowing to move here. So I totally agree, and that would be one of my goals.
Beautiful. Thank you. Again, I want to mention that Ms. Trigger couldn't make it because her grandmother fell. But thank you very much there, Ms. Reese. School board at large right now. We have Damon Hairston. Come on up. Right.
How you doing, Mark?
All right. All right, good to see you.
Good to see you.
We got you 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
5 minutes, baby. I'm gonna time
Good job. Excuse me. Well, my name is Damon Harrison. I am a proud graduate of LFO High School. A little bit later than Miss Reese, but we won't go there. I served my country with about 12 years between the active duty Army, Army Reserve, and National Guard. I think Stephen Henry was jabbing at me for my minimalist campaign. It's all in this card. Y'all can scan it with your phone. You have a picture of my name, phone number, email address. So the reason I'm running for school board at large is not only am I a concerned parent, but I'm also a taxpayer. When I got out of the hospital about 2.5 years ago, after dying 7 times, I thought there had to be something else that I could do. So I looked at my wife and I said, what is there? She goes, well, do whatever. God gave you a reason to be here. So it's been in my heart to find a way to plug myself in somewhere. Because I'm not a politician, nor did I ever choose to be one. So I look at what Ms. Reese said, and I'm not copying what she said, I'm just kind of building off of it. I've got a bachelor's degree from UTC in criminal justice, so I've been in the world of law enforcement. I have a master's degree in law in corporate compliance. So there are some people that do actually understand the laws of the school and the laws of ordinances and everything else, so they can't be convoluted. And I also feel like you don't have to be at the top of an organization chart to be a leader. I would like to come in at the bottom, analyze everything that's going on, and make sure that the taxpayers are getting what they're paying for. But I also want to make sure that the students are prepared. and that we choose a curriculum that's going to be best for them, for their future. Because their future is our future till we leave this earth. I don't know if I'll find an answer to every question that's given to me, but I'll do my best to find it. So, I'm a very open person. If you have a question and I don't know the answer, I will go till I find it. You may not like the answer, but I'll give it to you. I will say in the corporate world, what I've been doing for the past 2 years, I've utilized software that was given to me, and following regulation, I have saved my company $2.5 million. So that's important, because we all know that we need to make sure that our dollar goes as far as we can make it. And I'm open to any questions. Mr. Miller, if you have any.
We don't actually have any questions for you.
Then anybody have one?
Well, yell one out, and we do that.
Anyone? Anyone? You're only making this too easy for me. Anyway, at my bare bones table, Mr. Henry, I'll have my card. You can scan it. It cost me $7. This is my minimalist campaign. So I didn't buy all these signs like everyone else. If you have no questions for me, I appreciate your time. Mr. Henry, I thank you for your invitation. Thank you.
All right. Next, we're going to move to candidates for District 1. And we'd like Dennis Forrester to come on up and get you 5 minutes in. Is Dennis here tonight? There he is. Come on up, Dennis. Thank you, sir. All right.
Hello, I'm Dennis Forster, and I was born here in Catoosa County at Tri-County Hospital in 1959. I pursued an education at Westside Elementary, and then I moved on to Cloud Springs Elementary. There was no junior high at the time, so I moved over to Lakeview, Fort Oglethorpe, and graduated from there. From there, I went into the United States Navy for 6 years active. Thank you very much. So, after 6 years of service and traveling abroad to Spain, I come back home to Key West. But I got out and went into the Navy Reserve for 9 years and traveled more abroad, more so than ever my active service. The Navy put me on a frigate and I went everywhere. Got out after 9 years and come home. I'm sorry, after 6 years and come home. I did the reserves every month and 2 weeks out of the year. But when I come home, I got an invite to go to New York, New Jersey, and California for my profession of metrology. Metrology is the art of calibration, to be accurate, to have tolerances. And I lived the next 32 years with TVA as a metrologist and retired from TVA in 2014 at 55. Being retired, it was time to travel more, like Ms. Dena was talking about earlier. And we did. We took months off and just went around camping at different locations in the U.S. And one thing about retirement I'd like to say is that there's no such thing. If you're going to continue to live on this earth and serve God's purpose, you're not going to retire. You're not going to sit out there on a chair and go fishing for very long, because God has a purpose for you. A few years back, I thought, I need to get involved in the community. And at the same time, I thought, I need to buy a boat and circumnavigate the eastern half of the United States is what I need to do. That'll take about a year, and we'll go up the east coast to the left, through the Great Lakes, and come down Mississippi and over the Gulf and travel around Florida and come back home. Well, I think God had a different purpose for me, because I took this interest in becoming a commissioner. At the time, Mr. Long was not eligible to vote for. He was in his 2-year cycle. And at the time, I had my commander of the American Legion pass away after 20 years of serving post 40 in Ringville. And I took that position I was voted for as a commander for the past 2 years for the American Legion Post 40, which I'm very proud of doing. When Mr. Ronnie Lee passed away, the American Legion was going under. We almost had a gavel fall on the podium to say we're closing for business. And now I'm proud to say, with the help of the staff that we have at the American Legion, we have over $120,000 in cash flow and with certificates, and we're thriving and doing well. And in May, we vote for another commander. We don't have to vote for another commander. As a matter of fact, the Legionnaires there would like for me to stay on as commander. But after 2 terms, which I feel is enough, and with the training with the members there that's come along, we have somebody to step up and become commander again. Which leads me here. I voted Republican, so I must be a Republican because I align with Republican principles. So I called Joanna Hildreth up and say, hey, I'd like to run as a Republican for District 1 because Jeff Long is up for election. And she says, well, okay, you need to go down to the election board, and whatever I needed to do, I did, and fill out the paperwork, and signed up as a Republican for Commissioner District 1. Little did I know what was going to transpire about these guys not being selected as Republicans. It was a shock to me. I didn't know their record. I didn't know why they weren't chose. But, case sera, sera. I'm here, I'm running for Republican, District 1, to be your servant leader. Thank you very much.
Stay right up there. We do have some quick questions for you, all right? Will you please tell us your stance on property rights?
Good question, whoever did that, because if I purchase some property and I don't pay for it, I go to First Bank and get a loan. Who owns that property? Is it me? Some people say, yeah, it's you because you took out a loan, but the bank still owns it. If I pay for that property outright, which I've done Rising upon, I'm kind of land poor right now. But if I pay for that property and have no mortgage payments, I believe it's mine. If I'm renting property, it's not mine. Am I renting it from the bank? I don't know. I don't know how that goes. A mortgage, necessarily, when you write down on paper, if you own a home and you have a payment, I think the bank thinks you own it, but you really don't. Anyway.
Got another question for you here. If you are for property development, will you pledge to improve the county roads around and to deal with the increased traffic?
Oh, another good question. Is anybody familiar with Glade Road? Off of Cloud Springs Road, a couple? Off of Cloud Springs Road, you know the road that was supposed to be widened up to 4 lanes all the way to 27? That didn't happen. And now we've got traffic all the way down when it bottlenecks right there when it comes from 4 to 2 lanes every day. But now there's going to be a new development at the end of Cloud Springs Road. At the end of Glade Road, and there's going to be more congestion there. So for me to be your commissioner in that one vote, I would say we need to widen that Cloud Springs Road. If there's going to be a residence there, apartment complex there, that's going to have more traffic.
Okay. All right, very good. Let's give him a hand. That's Dennis Forster. Can we have Jeff Long come on up here, running for District 1? Jeff Long. Mr. Long? Thank you. You've got 5 minutes.
Right. Thank everyone for coming out tonight and special thanks to Steve Henry and all your family for putting this together for the people of Catoosa County and for the other candidates around multi-counties for everyone to be able to watch it. I am Jeff Long, District 1 Commissioner. Been in office since 2011. Grew up down in Flintstone, Georgia, with Brady and Barney. But we went to Chattanooga Valley and then went to Rossville High School. And after that, while I was still in high school, there at 16 years old, I decided I wanted to be a servant to the community. And I couldn't go out on calls, but I joined the Post Volunteer Fire Department there in Flintstone and was there for 22 years through the fire department as post volunteer. Then it changed to Walker County, took over that, and then also Fort Oglethorpe. And when I left after 22 years of service, I retired as a battalion chief for all the departments there coming up, and was honored to be able to serve the community and help save lives for them. And then back up to, got a wonderful family. My wife Sue, her mother has surgery today down in Alabama, so she couldn't be here tonight. Have 2 great sons, 3 grandsons, and 2 daughter-in-laws. So they've always been here and supportive for me through this election, because they understand how hard it is, and they cringe every time I say I'm going to run again. So, thank them for everything they do and have supported me all the time through this. As I said, I've served as firefighter for 22 years. I've been in the recreation department, coaching in recreation all for about 25 years. Worked as City of Fort Oglethorpe as recreation director and as also a public works director. Been there at the city for 30 years, and that's the reason I run in 2011 when Ken Marks decided to run for mayor of Fort Oglethorpe. And I said, I'm gonna put my hat in the ring. I see both sides of it, working through the politics at the city, and then also by working as public works director and recreation and being a firefighter, understanding the department. So felt I had something to serve the community, and also I understood on the employee side. And that was the main reason I run, which my wife told me, said, after 19 years of being in politics at the city, why would you want to jump into this? And that's what I explained. I said, well, I can be a servant to the community and also to the employees of Catoosa County. So here I'm still am and still doing it. But I been at, like I say, public works, 30 years experience of that. When I first went into office, one of the things I seen needed to change in Catoosa County was our road paving. We used to pave an inch and a half of asphalt on the roads, and they looked good for 4 or 5 years. And then talking to the other commissioners, we incorporated to start doing something preventative, doing the deep patching on the roads, and get them to where they'll last 10, 15, or 20 years and make it worthwhile. Spend a little extra up front, and now we go through, we check storm drains, cross drains before we pave the road versus paving the road, and then 3 years later you're coming back digging up, having to have a pipe listed out. So that's one of the things I brought to the table and talked to the commissioners, and they understood and they listened for it with my experience. So during all my education, I've got as a county commissioner, certified county commissioner, over 600 hours of training through University of Georgia. Got public works training, over 400 hours, and then had over 1,000 hours of training through the fire service. So it's something that and you don't realize the duties and the things there is to do that jumps up on you. So I feel the experience is a big thing. And there's things that's been finished, and we've still got things Seeing this new hospital go up, that's one of the great things. And also on the PFA board, want to see, we've been working with UGA Carl Vinson Institute to get a plan to sell the old hospital once the new hospital's built and they're out of it. I'd like to see that go on, and it was an honor to see the Dena Reese College and Career Academy working on it, being able to work with the school board. There's a lot of times committees and elected officials can't work together, but we work with them. We have the property, and it's going to be great when we get our 911 center moved in to there. That's going to help with the education. That's it's been an honor, like I say, to serve, and I would like to serve the citizens of Catoosa County in District 1. And District 1 elects me, but I represent every citizen in Catoosa County. That we work for everyone. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of times, but I would like to serve y'all for 4 more years. Thank you.
First question now, this is going to be for Jeff, and this will be, like I say, 30 seconds. If elected, when serving, if you're aware of how the people want you to vote, will you vote the will or your will? That's the question. So you got 30 seconds. Tell me.
Well, depends on that answer. If 5 people's there and says vote this way, if I feel it needs to go the other way, that's the way I'm going to vote, because I work for 70,000 people in Catoosa County, not 5 or 6. So I feel I was put in office to do what I think's best. That's why we have elections, and I will do that. Now, if we have a large majority, and I'll look into it, I might change my mind, but I'm going to do what the majority of the people has put me in office to do.
All right, we're going to ask the same question here of Dennis.
So, finding out what that 70,000 people, of course, I think it's more like 20,000 because we're including under 18 in that 70,000. But finding out what those people want is a challenge, because look what we have here. I imagine the question was, if the majority of the people want you to vote a certain way, would you vote that majority of people? When these people come to these commission meetings, there are 1 or 2 people there, 3 or 4, 5 or 6. Last night's meeting, right, last night, when was it? It was Tuesday night's meeting, there was an accolade for the fire department with regard to awards from the chief. When those awards were gone, or were already, the pictures took and everybody got their awards, they left. People come and do their thing and leave, and they leave. When it's time to talk, it's the last part of the meeting. Yeah, there might be 5 or 6, but there's an interest from the citizens of this community that are getting to talk, but they're not getting heard. So with that, it's kind of a 2-part question, because yes, I'd love to vote the majority, but I'd like to know what the majority wants.
Very good. Okay, let's go back to Jeff on this question here. Limited government is a cornerstone of the Republican principles. What measure will you take to reduce the size and scope of the Catoosa County government? You have 30 seconds.
It's hard to downsize when when people wants to live in your county and work in your county and bring businesses to the county. So you look at it day to day. I'm not for downsizing our recreation for the youth, and I'm not in favor of bringing down our public works director where roads don't get fixed and roads don't get mowed. And so that's things. That's one thing that it's hard to downsize when you've got a growing community and the people loves this community, and they're coming because they've got great school systems. We've got great businesses, and we've got great leadership in the cities and in the county and the school system. So if you can't that's one thing that you can't hardly do if you've got a community that's growing, for the people, you've got to keep their services.
All right, let's see what Dennis thinks about that. Same question.
So it's the fire department, it's public works, it's the police department, and it's recreation, and then there's the health and welfare of all the people in the community. With regard to downsizing, just yesterday I met the guy that came to the fire department and was selling a new fire truck. Actually, he's going to sell two. And he said these guys are in the millions of dollars. And I think it was like $1.2 million for a fire truck. And then I'm driving down the road today to get to here, and I see a brand new Catoosa County Ford F-150. And I did think about what we're spending and why we're spending it, because it seems we have a lot of money. But as far as downsizing, I believe Jeff's right. I don't know that we need to downsize. We probably need to keep what we can keep for longer periods of time instead of buying more new stuff. But that's all I have to say.
All right, very good. We're going to move this thing right along. Gentlemen, thank you for your questions. You can leave the stage now. Give them a hand. You did a great job. We're on for District 1. Now let's go to District 3. Can we have Alex Brady up here? Alex Brady, come on up. This is Alex Brady, District 3.
Good evening, thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Alex Brady, and I'm running for Commissioner for District 3. So, the elephant in the room here, yes, I'm running with the Democrats. I think I'm the only one represented here today. But I ask that you would hear me out and hear how I want to best represent you in this county. So, a little bit of introduction about myself. I grew up in Northwest Georgia, down in Gordon County. And a few years ago, I settled down here with my wife and my two small kids. We live in Gradesville area, and we love living in this county. I work remotely. I can work anywhere in the country, and I chose to live right here in Catoosa County. I think that said a lot. I work as a software engineer for my career, where I lead a small team of software developers, and we develop software for our men and women in the armed forces, where we help make their lives and the lives of their family better. And I hold a master's of computer science degree from Georgia Tech. So I'm running for office because I want voters to have a choice. I was tired of showing up in November to vote and there only being one candidate to vote for. I believe that we need a choice that will help us to be better informed as citizens. You know, if there's only one candidate running, there are not going to be debates, there's not going to be people engaging with the candidates, coming to events like this. And so I think having more people running and being able to have these conversations is really important. And so that's a big reason why I'm running. I want to give voters a choice. So as commissioner, I want to represent the people, be a true representative of the people. I'm just kind of a normal guy who wanted to get involved and wanted to help make my community thrive. I don't have any ties, anybody in power, or anything like that. And I want to listen and to lead with empathy, to really know what citizens want and what's important to them. So as commissioner, I would like to see also not only people more involved with voting, but more involved with the government in general. I think really seeking people's opinions and getting more people to be involved and to reach out to experts in the various fields of issues that our county is facing is really important. And I think the commissioners really need a lot of good feedback, and they need to know from people who are working day to day, working in our schools, working in our departments, that sort of thing. And that way, commissioners can make better informed choices after listening and hearing all sides. Now, I also want to make sure I'm a good steward of county funds and the people's money. Make sure that our taxes are being used for good purposes that really better the lives of all citizens, not just a few. I want to bring collaboration and bipartisanship to our county commission. I want to be able to offer opposing views and work together and be respectful and to share my views and listen to others' views so that we can work together, because I think government requires a lot of compromise. And there's always going to be different opinions, and I think we have to work together to come up with the best solutions that we can. I believe in a government that works for the people. I believe in a government that doesn't infringe upon rights, that isn't trying to take away freedoms, but a government that works for all people, and a government that encourages the American dream, regardless of your socioeconomic status, or maybe who you know, or your race, or your gender. That dream should be available to all. And I know I didn't really cover any specific issues here tonight, but I think that there's honestly too many to name. I think issues that are important to me may be very different than the issues that are important to you. That's why, again, I think that dialogue is so important. I want to hear from you, so I encourage you to come talk to me afterwards, and you can pick up a card in my booth over there. So I want to know what's important to you, and I want to know how I can best serve you, and why those things are important to you. The county government, makes a lot of complex decisions, because again, we don't all agree, and we have to sometimes make hard choices. And I think that we really want to work together. And again, it goes back to listening. And I know that I would be just one vote on the commission. And so I'm not going to stand up here and offer any campaign promises or anything like that that I probably won't be able to fulfill. But what I can offer is my integrity and my willingness and desire to serve the people and to listen and try to make the best decision that I can. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alex, will you take a seat on the end right there? Yeah, sit down. We want to call up Jimmy Gray. Jimmy Gray, come on up.
Good evening. Mr. Henry, I do see you. Thank you for this opportunity tonight. This is very important, regardless how many people show up or don't show up. As you noted, most people watch things online, but people do deserve the opportunity to show up and hear candidates and elected officials speak. I'm a very big advocate of that. I've been part of 6 town halls since October of last year. I want to hear from the people, and I want people to hear what I have to say. As many of you know, in August of 22, I started this journey when our commission was debating about raising our property taxes. I've been a homeowner since '09, and my property taxes seem to go up year after year. Even if they say they take the rollback, it still goes up. It's a very slight increase, but it goes up. I was tired of not having somebody have my back as a homeowner in this county. And I told Ms. Hollander, if you vote for this property tax increase, I'm going to run against you. And right after that happened, I started my campaign. You guys are the ones that are in power of your local government, not a select few. It's become quite obvious during my journey doing this that our last commissioner was bought and paid for. Our current commissioner tried buttering up to the people who bought and paid for that seat. And you laughed, Mr. Cutler. I sent you an email about a tax increase. I never got a response. I never even saw you until it was election time. But I got news for you. I'm not going to be for sale. You people, the citizens of this county, deserve to be represented and to be heard. And that's exactly what I intend to do. Thank you.
We have Vita Hollander. Vita Hollander, come on up. Floor is yours.
Hey, can I take this off?
Yeah. No, I tell you what, leave it there. Use this one.
Okay, can y'all see me now? Yes. So I'm one of these, I like to walk and talk because that's the paramedic in me. You learn a lot of information that way, but also I want to make sure everybody can hear me. I'm gonna start out, Mr. Cutler, you did not deserve that remark. Okay, so I want to get that housekeeping out of the way. We're not here to sling mud at anybody. We're here to present ourselves and what we can do for our district and our county as a whole. So I don't think, I've seen about 4 people in here that I don't know, but I guess the rest of you do know me. I've been in office for so long, I don't see any new faces other than those. But I have been married to that hunk of man over there for 48 years. And together, we both have an emergency services background. Also, we have 2 children. I have some bonus children. And we have 1 biological grandson, but I've got several bonus children or grandchildren. And you know, they're all the same. When you're in office, you have to have the same attitude. They're all the same. So that being said, we do have some great grandchildren, and I've been in this county all my life, so is my husband. I was raised in Graysville, the heart of my district. I went to Brady. I also have a business degree. I have associates in business management. When I was a paramedic, and everybody asked me, why did you get into politics? When I was a paramedic, I would try to talk to the people that had the power to make a difference. They could do that. And I would talk to them about social issues that I was seeing, you know, like child abuse, domestic violence, gang violence, and so forth, opioids. So they would placate you, but they weren't hearing you. And I would always say, someday. So when I was asked to run for coroner, and I had several people ask me, and I was even told if I didn't run, they were going to put me on the ballot because of my background. So I thought, you know what, this is that someday. So I've been able to address a lot of the social issues that I was passionate about. I'm not going to go into everything. It was referred, I've done a lot in domestic violence and so forth. You know, I remember when we walked into Judge Wood's office and demanded a drug accountability courts, and he just kind of dismissed us. But y'all have to know Judge Wood's to appreciate that story. Anyway, that being said, I have traveled all over the state. I have used that little title to someday. I really got comical because I was at the Capitol so much, logging different pieces of legislation to try to make our, not just our county, but our state better. And there was a lot of legislators that would come up to me and they would, they decided I must be somebody important and they needed to know me because I was down there so much. But like Dena said, I would always come back home and I would say, you know, we're the best kept secret in the county, but or the state, but somebody let that cat out of the bag. I still say that we're the best place to live in the county or the state, but we are not a well kept secret anymore. So how are we going to address these things? We have a comprehensive plan. And that covers everything as far as infrastructure, your waterways, your floodplains, you know, the growth and so forth. And with that comprehensive plan, I say we can do better. Now, 1 minute. So with that comprehensive plan, what I'm going to do is I am looking at other ways that we can keep the beauty of our county. And, you know, we need affordable housing. I'm working with the GET program. It's the Georgia Affordable Housing. Since Brian's distracting me, I got to go on. I get another minute because of Brian. But anyway, we need affordable housing, and that's going to happen. But also look at the innovative ways that we can grow and grow smart. I'm looking at different counties and cities, and I really like my vision for the Hutchinson building is to put it into a PUD, which is mixed development. Well, people are designing now to where you have living space upward, But on the bottom, you have industry and you have business. So that's a good way to build smart. At the same time, I want to bring in business and industry, because with business and industry, we have jobs, we have a good tax base coming in instead of it being the burden to everybody, including myself. So that's why we have a good partnership with the Joint Development Authority. If we tried to replace what they do for a little over $100,000 a year, it would cost the taxpayers about $700,000 a year. So I think we're being good stewards of the county's money. Also, I enjoy the relationships that I have with all the elected officials. I've been able to establish that over my years. And at the same time, we work well together. But our roads, that's what everybody wants to know about. But our roads aren't the only problem. The comment's been made that we need to put all our SPLOST money in the roads. Well, if we do that, how are we going to fund all the other departments and services that you expect to get? So we would have to cut out departments or cut out services in order to do that. But it can all be done. It just has to take time. It has to take time. So anyway, I'm going to stay in office because I love my county. I love the people in my county. And I know my time's out. But anyway, I'm just asking for your vote and let me continue to serve you.
You need to take a seat there, please. We have one more running for District 3, Richard Tharp. Come on up, Richard. You don't need this? Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Everyone, my name is Richard Tharp. I'm running for District 3 Commissioner as well. I'm now a 20-year resident of Catoosa County. So I love our community, I love our county. And, you know, my beautiful wife of 14 years is here with me tonight, and I'm glad she's able to be here tonight with me. I love our county. I love everything about it. The reason I got in the race is because I felt like I didn't have representation for me. Everybody has a different opinion about that, what representation is. But for me, it was tied into my career, my business life. I mean, my whole life I've been in managing businesses, running businesses, owning businesses. So I've been in business world my whole life, and I tie everything to that. You know, in the business world, we have budgets, and we have to maintain a budget. We have to hire and train folks. We have to retain them. And these are all key things to running any business, but it's also a very key thing to running a county. I think importantly as well, we have to have strong relationships with what I think is like four legs of a chair. You have the school board, City of Fort Oglethorpe, City of Ringgold, and the Board of Commissioners. I think if you don't have a strong relationship with everybody in all those legs of that chair, the citizens that make up the seat of that chair, it'll just fall. You can't have one weak leg. And I think that the commissioner's job, and as commissioner for District 3 especially, because the City of Ringgold lies within District 3, is to have a strong relationship with the City Council, with the mayor. And the same relationship with Fort Oglethorpe, the same relationship with the school board. See, we all make decisions every day in all four boards that impact the citizens' lives. No one board makes a decision that impacts everybody's life in the way that all four come together. So I think in the business world, I always had to culture and cultivate relationships because I felt that was important. You know, employees are the lifeblood of everything, and the citizens of the county are the employees. You know, the commissioners are up there doing their job as state management, but the employees are what makes that run. And so I just look back at my whole life and everything that I've done there. I just don't feel that we're headed in a direction that I felt like I could get behind as a citizen. You know, I felt like my vote always needed to go to somebody I felt would drive that forward and make a difference and have a vision of 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. I think back to when I was a kid, my grandfather, he served in World War II, and he was a Seabee. He was on Iwo Jima, and he was building the airstrip when they raised the flag there. And he came home, and he went into construction. And that's the career I'm in today as well. And he provided housing for all the folks coming back from World War II. And I think that's an honorable profession. I think some people don't see it that way, but I do. But he always told me, he said, son, he said, the one thing you can make in business is you can make money, you can lose money. You can make more money back. But the one thing you can never make back is your reputation. He said, how you treat people and what you do will stay with you for the rest of your life. So one of the things in the campaign that really mattered to me was I said I would never make campaign promises. I feel like in life and in this campaign, you promise people something, you need to deliver. Your reputation is something that follows you for the rest of your life. You bring it into wherever you go. And so I've said all along, I won't make campaign promises because I've always felt as a citizen, as a voter, when you have a candidate that's going to promise you, I won't raise taxes. I'll eliminate this. I'll do these other things here. I feel like until you get in the office and you have a full comprehension of what it is to do the job, it's hard to make those decisions and to know for certainty that you're going to live up to your promise. See, you won't be able to keep your reputation. You know, win or lose in this, I know I'll leave and I'll still have my reputation intact. I know the people that work with me, have worked with me, they can speak to that reputation, and I hold it dear. So I appreciate everybody. I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you.
All right, we're going to run some questions by the candidates. We'll start over here. And we'll give you a question. You have 30 seconds to answer. Roughly 30 seconds, and then just pass it down. And the same question for each candidate as it comes down. Question number 1. Limited government is the cornerstone of the Republican principle. What measures will you take to reduce the size and scope of the Catoosa County government? Alex Brady, 30 seconds.
You know, obviously, I don't align necessarily with those Republican principles, but I think, we do have to be careful about both sides of government and how much it might infringe on people's rights and how much tax money we take in. I think it's a balance. I think, we need to provide services and the things that we need to run a functioning government, but we need to be very careful of how far that goes.
This is Jimmy Gray. Go ahead.
One thing that can be done today to reduce the size of government and not affect anything is to look at the different departments within the county for unfilled positions that they are hiring for. If they're not totally necessary for that department to run efficiently, then maybe we shouldn't fill those positions and save the taxpayer money right there immediately. And yes, I am for reducing the size of government, especially with how it's inflated in the past 9 years.
Let's hear from Vita Hollander.
Well, guys, let's think about this. Let's look at a county that's at 70,000 people. So what service are we going to cut out? Who are we going to downsize from? Are we going to take away from the seniors? Are we going to take away from the youth? Who are we going to take away from? And people want their services. They want their services. So, and they're glad to pay for them. I don't like taxes any more than anybody else, but there's nothing that we can, we're doing millage rates, rollbacks. But there's portions of the taxes that we cannot control. But as far as unfilled positions, elected officials have their own budget and they have their own area of government. When they request a budget and it's approved, if there's unfilled positions, we can't control that. Now, we don't hire anybody in our general government unless it's completely necessary. So I don't, like I said, it's kind of like robbing Paul to pay Peter if you try to downsize any service or anything that we do, because a lot of people are going to want it. And they're not going to be happy, they're not going to appreciate it if we do away with it.
Let's hear from Richard Tharp now. Same question, Mr. Tharp.
Sure. I look at it from a business world perspective is we always want to run lean, or we want to run effective. The citizens want to have everything they have now currently, and they want to have their services, and they want to be getting those services at a high level. So I think as a commissioner, we need to look and make sure that everything we're paying out, that we're getting what we're paying for, and more importantly, we're not overpaying or over allocating for something that we could cut back on. So if there are services that could be cut back on and maintain that high level of services to the citizens where they don't see a reduction in services, then sure, I think there's an opportunity to cut, and we should take that. And that's our job as commissioners, is to be stewards of the taxpayers' money.
All right, let me ask one more quick question of all four candidates here. We'll start with Mr. Tharp there. If faced with a moral question, will you vote your will or what's best for the people? How would you answer that?
I've always said that every decision made should be made for the whole. What's best for the whole? With integrity and honesty, and if you have morals, you know what's right for everybody. You should never sacrifice that for a small group or an individual. I've said that all along through the campaign, and I stick to that. I think we need to make decisions that are right for the county as a whole, and we need to make those decisions that we know are the right decisions and the best decisions, and never sacrifice what we know is right for a small group or an individual.
Let's hear from Vita Hollander now. Same question, Ms. Hollander.
If you're an elected official and you are doing your own will, then you need to get out of your seat. It's got to be the will of the people. You've got to be able to listen. And, you know, I have big ears. I've not heard from hardly anybody in my district, so I have to assume that they're happy with me. If they call me and they need help, it's done within a day or two. So, you know, I'm listening to the will of the people. Now, everybody, you know, God made us all different. That's why there's different races, colors, creeds, genres, whatever. God made us all different. So what may be one person's will is not going to be, let's say, 1,000 people's will. So I'm always accessible. All my information is out there. I can even put my address if someone wants to come and have a cup of coffee, because I want to hear, not just from my constituents, I want to hear from anybody in the county. Whether we get up and disagree, they're not going to leave my house without knowing I've heard them. So that is the will of the people. It's not the will of the person. And like I said, if you are self-serving or you have something to gain, you need to get out of that seat.
Jimmy Gray, how would you answer that?
I would consider the will of the people. More importantly, I would have to consider, does the will of the people go against the United States Constitution and the Georgia Constitution? If the answer is yes, you go with the Constitution.
And finally, let's hear from Alex Brady on this topic.
The will of the people and their voices are obviously very important. And I think as a similar question was asked to District 1 commissioners, you know, Mr. Forrester said, how can you know what the real majority wants? You know, besides voting, we don't really get a chance to hear that. So I think that's one problem with this question is, you know, how would you determine what the true will of the majority is? And you know, sometimes there's a few loud minority voices out there. So, but public input and obviously the will of the people is very important. And I would be willing to change my mind and change my views on policy. I think when it comes down to it, if it's a real moral issue, at some point I would have to take a stand and vote for my moral, my morals, even if that might be against what some people want.
All right, let's have a hand for our District 3 candidates. Alex Brady, Jimmy Gray, Vita Hollander, and Richard Dunn. Thank you very much for that. And we want to get Mickey Hedrick up here first. Mickey, come on up. All right, Hedrick.
Thank you.
There you go.
Well, I want to thank Stephen for inviting me. didn't know whether it was gonna be able to come or not, and I got thinking, well, you know, he might just be my chairman, and I need to go down, you know, show respect. I thought Mr. Black might be here, you know, he might be my chairman too. Then I got to thinking, you know, I might be their chairman. So, I'm gonna praise the Lord Jesus for saving my soul. I always like to put the most important things first. About 43 years ago, he brought me to a place that I needed to be. Changed my life, set me on a good path, and he's been worth living for. And I am Mickey Hedrick. I live at 173 Hedrick Lane in Ringo, 68 years old, born and raised on the same land my daddy was born and raised on. And if there's a rocky top in Georgia, it's my grandpa's farm. Yeah. My dad used to say, it's just rocky, it's all rock. But good Lord let my grandpa raise 8 kids on that rocky top. And I still live there, got a little piece of it, not much. But I love Ringo, I love Catoosa County. And Stephen told me, said, you know, you put on your table whatever you want to put on it. I got to thinking, well, I don't know what I can put on there. It's like the Lord said, you can take the Bible. What's more important than the Word of God? This most important thing, the written Word of God, serving the living Word of God, the Lord Jesus. So that's what I brought. And I used this Bible when I served under Junior Bryson, Brother Junior, at Pleasant Valley Baptist Church for about 20 years. He was my pastor. And he died being our pastor at Pleasant Valley. He had a habit about writing in people's Bibles when they wasn't looking. I want to read this I want to share this blessing with you. It's a great blessing. It says, Mickey, the Lord has done great things for you. He has done a great thing for me by letting you be my brother in Christ and a true friend. Your pastor, Brother Junior. This was written 5/16/04. My little platform I get to say in being chairman is simple, caring, common sense. I mean, if you're going to serve the people, you got to care for the people. I want to be frank. I want to make the chairman seat as simple as possible. You can get, I prefer text. You text me anytime about anything. Give me time to think about it, reason about it, I'll get back to you. And I know it sounds real complicated about Catoosa County government, it probably is, but I don't know a whole lot about it, other than what I've watched on television, watching the YouTube meetings, seeing some things that were honorable, and seeing some things that I despise. Just to be honest with you. And if you vote for me, I'll serve you in truth, God being my helper. And I'm thankful for this time.
Mickey, if you will take a seat down there again. Let's welcome Stephen Henry to the stage. Mr. Henry, come on up.
You gotta love it when you have technical difficulty before you go on. So, not like you're nervous enough, you get to have a little snafu, you know. I tell you, my name's Stephen Henry, for those of y'all that didn't hear the first time, and I was chairman of the Board of Commissioners for 6 years and stepped down. So I want to go ahead and get that out of the way. I stepped down to run for Senate, and I didn't quite make it, but over the last couple of years, God has kind of changed the direction of my wife and I's lives, and I just want to stay home. We're blessed to have a couple of new kids in our life, and I love my family, and I love this county. One thing to learn about me, if you don't already know, the only way I know to speak is just from the heart. You either like it or you don't, and that's just the way it is. But I think we need to be more honest with each other about why we're truly doing things. And the reason I want to run for chairman again is because I love this community. I love the people in it. I love my family that's going to be here. I love my grandkid that's on the way that's going to be here. I want to make sure that I leave a heritage for them, leave a life for them that's going to be as good as one that I was so fortunate to live. God has blessed me to live in this great community. My grandmother was from here, my mother, of course, you know. This is probably the first time I've been nervous giving a speech in a long time. And it's because it's so important to me. It's because this county is so important to me. It's because the lives of so many mean that to me. And I want to be able to serve this community and make a difference. I think we did that in 6 years. I think working with the school board, we made a difference in that community and children's lives for years to come. And I thank you for that partnership that we had, working with the cities and being able to have a relationship that didn't always exist, that doesn't quite exist as good as it should right now. Relationships are how we get things done. Relationships are how we have big goals and accomplishments. And a lot of people think relationships are bad. I think relationships are good. I think being able to have people help you and people to work with is a good thing. So I would just ask for your vote and your trust to allow me to come back and serve this community as your chairman of the Board of Commissioners. We did it for 6 years. We did a lot of good things together. I never did anything on my own. We did it together as a community. And I appreciate the trust that you gave me then. And I ask that you'll give me that trust one more time to allow me to serve as your chairman of the board. So thank you.
All right, Steve, have a seat over here. We do have one more candidate to bring up here, and that's going to be Nick Ware. Nick Ware, come on up.
I am Republican candidate Nick Ware. I just want to first say thank you, Steve Henry, for putting this on and inviting me out. We know that everything's going on in the county and all this stuff. This is the time of togetherness that we're seeing here tonight. And I just want to give him an applause in being able to do that for putting this together. So, and so I'm Nick Ware, and you know, out of all the candidates that I've ever seen that run in a race, I've never seen any of the candidates go to the meetings prior before they start actually running for a race. I've been going to these meetings since 2019, actually, to be exact, August of 2019. And I also attend other meetings, and so much so it's been important to me. My platform is all about transparency. At that point in time in 2019, I wanted to see the video of where I spoke at one of the meetings. And with that, I couldn't see it at the meeting, and so I was told that I needed to go to UCTV to be able to get that video and pay $25 in order to see a video of my government. Well, I didn't think that was right as well, so I wanted to make sure that transparency was there. I actually contacted this man and let him know as well what was going on. And there was some things that we worked together on and being able to bring about some transparency and being able to do that first and foremost with that of Facebook. And that was the first whenever the pandemic hit. Everybody remembers that in 2020, right? Well, here I am today, and I want people to know that I've been going to these meetings. We have our own little Facebook page that we do. It's called CSI, Citizens Sharing Information. That's where we do all the videos for our government. Right now, currently, our government only records one meeting, and that is the commissioners meeting, which I would like for our government to be able to actually show the community all meetings. Last year, I actually worked with the school board and being able to show them that, hey, you want people to trust you, you want to be able to have transparency first, because that's where the trust begins. If you show people what you're doing and you're open and you're transparent, then you start to gain their trust, because then they're not looking at you as hiding anything. So we see that from a national standpoint, state standpoint, we're down to the local standpoint, that's where we're at. I've been focused on local government since 2019 and have, prior looking at that of the national level and so on and so forth. I can tell you this, there's nobody in the national government that will tell you what you can do on your own property or how much property tax you're going to pay for it. That's the local government. There's no one that impacts or affects your life more closely than that of your local government. And so when you're looking at your local government or you're not looking at your local government and there's not any transparency, then sometimes things can get skirted. I, myself, personally, who I am, is I'm a father, a husband, and a concerned citizen, first and foremost. Professionally, I'm a telecommunications design specialist. And what I do is I work for the Department of Defense. I have no interest here in this county. I work with no one in this county. Work for an international company. And I was also a business owner prior to that. And I've seen what's happened. For 8 years, we were going through this as a small business of this economy and seeing what's happened as far as our economy goes now currently with interest rates. And I can tell you folks that from what I see on the outside of this county is that there is some things that's coming down the pipe. And that's going to be some struggles that's going to happen on a national level. And with those struggles, we're going to have to actually buckle down. With that, that means us citizens, and those citizens that's outside the government, that does not get a government paycheck, that they will have to buckle down as well. And that, whatever we do going forward affects those people's lives. The citizens in this county, first and foremost, I think that the elderly should be priority. The citizens that have disabilities should be priority. We owe that to them, especially to the veterans that have served. And they're at this point in their lives where they are living out their life as citizens in this county and retired. And they're having that of the widows. What does Scripture say about that? Who are we supposed to take care of? It's the widows and that of the orphans. Right? We have a priority in our lives. A lot of times that it's self-centered. I think that we need to start uniting as these states of America. We need to unite as these citizens of Catoosa and prepare for what's to come so that we can be stronger, we can be bolder, and we can face the future and be able to transfer what we have now as far as the liberties go to future generations to come. It's for posterity's sake that we are all here tonight. And whenever you look around, you see the youth. That's the ones that's going to receive the prize. And that's the ones that's going to have to protect the prize for future generations. Thank you.
Take a seat there, sir. I'm going to let you hold the mic here.
Okay.
All righty. I wish we could get to every question that we have here, and some of these are really good, but we're going to hit just a couple of them real fast here. Limited government is the cornerstone of the Republican Party. What measures would you take to reduce the size and scope of the Catoosa County government? You have 30 seconds. Go ahead, Mr. Ware.
So working in telecommunications, I also had at one point took care of Unum across the country. Unum is the insurance company that's global, used to be a Fortune 250 company on the index. But what I did is I grew that account from Chattanooga to across the United States with 84 field offices taken care of across the United States, 4 campus locations and 2 data centers. One of those data centers I designed and built out in 2013 in Alpharetta, Georgia, which was a disaster recovery. With that, I did it with a staff of 6 people. The rest were that of outsourced subcontractors and contracts that we had in place within every NFL city with 3 contractors and 3 distributors of that, where we were buying from our supply houses. Thank you.
All right, let's hear from Steve and Henry on the same topic.
So I think smaller government, we don't like to see it, right? I don't like to see life like it was 20 years ago. You know, when we didn't have to have 100 police cars running around to protect us, I miss the day when there was 3. You know, they went one into the county, the other, but we live in a different world now. The population is more, so the government, the citizens require more services. We have more people in schools, we have more schools. So I think we have to be good stewards of government, but I don't think we can lower or lessen government right now because we have to provide service, we have to provide ambulance, we have to provide fire protection, police protection, recreation things. So I don't think we lessen government. We don't need to have government overreach. I think that's a lot of the Republican platform, so let's not overreach and get into people's lives. But we have to make sure that people are able to live their lives in a safe manner. So I think we just do that by being fiscally responsible, and I think Catoosa County does a pretty good job of that.
Mr. Hendrick, go ahead and answer that same question.
Well, if you want growth, then it'd be kind of hard to feel like to really cut the government back, because I kind of think it kind of takes care of itself. If we have growth in Catoosa County, we need growth, I believe. I'm for independent contractors and people doing their thing and making their way in the USA. But if I get into office, I've said before, I'm gonna take the first year and I'm gonna save everything we can save. I know you gotta pay your people that work for you, you gotta take care of the most needful things, and that's what we'll do. We'll cut back where we can cut back, and we'll stop that wasteful spending. We gotta be able to see what we're looking at first, and I hadn't seen it, so if you can downsize the government and make it efficient, then that's what we'll do.
We got time for one more question. Just hang on to the mic there. Will you change the format of the commissioners' meeting to have the citizens speaking before voting on issues?
Well, I tell you, when you work for the people that you serve, then they all have the priorities, I'll say that. And freedom of speech, you know, we have our freedom of speech, and if we use it in the right way, then it can be a benefit to everybody. And it won't hurt anybody, we'll say. But as far as what goes on in those meetings, like I said already before, that I watch YouTube, I see how everything's set up and how they do. But I'm easy to work with. I'll work with the commissioners, and we'll look at it and see what's best for the people of Catoosa County.
Stephen Henry, same question.
Yeah, so there's probably a lot of background to that question. I'd say it was probably addressed to me, and I'm okay with that. But if people really go back and see why that was changed, it was changed because we used to bring school kids in and give awards if they won softball, state championships, and life-saving awards for firefighters, and recognize the people, the citizens in the community, the employees, the kids. It was the big thing. But we had people that would use their 5 minutes to get up and drop profanities and say things that we didn't want our kids to see. And they were being mean and disrespectful and hateful, which to me, a county commissioner or any elected official, we have a target on our back. That's okay. We would like for people to be respectful, but not the whole world's not one of me. But when it gets to the point that I have teachers or ROTC people tell me that they don't want to bring their kids back to give an award to them because of what they might hear from a citizen, I don't think anybody in this county wants to be known for that. And if y'all do, please come talk to me. But that is one of the main reasons we moved it to the back, so we could allow our young people to get recognized for what they deserve. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Nick Ware, same question.
So as I previously had told you, that in 2019 of August, whenever I stood up, and that's whenever they had imposed that of you signing in to speak before you were allowed to speak. And I've had this told to me as what he just said in the past. And I have reviewed every video, and I will ask you, every county video that's out there, if that is true, the only thing that I've ever seen anyone say a swear word, and that gentleman's sitting right there in the back with the longest beard, as I remember in the video, he said that don't tell me it's raining and peeing on my leg or something like that. That's the only cuss word, which he used, he didn't use pee. That's the only cuss word that I have seen. If somebody in here, you can send me an email at nickforchairman@gmail.com that can point to me where a citizen was cussing profanity in one of those meetings, I would ask you to do so to prove me wrong. Thank you.
All right, there's your candidates for chairman. And Coach Sylvia, we'll go around if you have any questions for them. We want to take time to thank them.
Oh, me again?
It's your buddy. Sure.
Now, y'all take a minute, visit with the people around, and if you got any questions that they can answer, go ask them. Thank you for being here. Again, if you want the video, holler at Brady, you'll get the email address and send it. And, thank you once again for taking interest in your local government and your community. Thank you, I appreciate it.